Okay, hello and welcome back, everyone. I think I figured out what my issue was with the microphone. What am I looking for? Thank you. I think I would have set this up beforehand. Nope, of course I didn't. Okay, so, what happened regarding the microphone last week is that it wasn't plugged in all the way to the, it's called the splitter, and basically my headphones only has the one plug thing, but I could only plug it into the microphone or the head. So that it can do both. And I didn't have my headphone plugged into that fully, that's why there was crackling for the people listening live. But when I listened to the playback of the recording afterwards, there was I turn that up. You guys. I don't have anyone watching yet. No one said anything in chat yet about the volume. But it should be better from going forward. I just have to make sure that the settings are proper. And then even and it definitely looks more like what I saw when I was streaming before. So that's encouraging. So I will probably end up re-recording the night stream a third time just so that the audio from me is better. Not today. Today I want to keep going. I want to do the Nomad route. Because I do want to finish streaming this. I want to get through this whole thing. I've finished playing the other routes, but I haven't finished these routes because they're the ones I've been live streaming. So, that being said, Nomad, if I remember correctly, okay, just trying to refresh my memory. I have notes. Why don't I remember off the top of my head? Okay, the ambassador is Rahim Kadir, he, him pronouns, halfling, half fae, half human, and romancing Rue. Knight, Ehab Kadir, they, them pronouns, also halfling, romancing Eric and Masha. And Nomad, who I'm playing today, is Nasreen Kadir. Her, she pronouns, trans, she was assigned male at birth, and fae, human, halfling, and romancing Livia. So, our story, the Nomad was basically sent to Novus to see what's going on there, because at the request of the head guildmaster of the Guild of Assassins in Novus, because they weren't sure they could trust any of their people with this, so they asked for an outsider basically, and so that's how the Nomad ends up in Novus. The ambassador and knight are sent as official emissaries from their homeland of Vithris, also the Nomad's homeland, to just as gestures of goodwill from Vithris to Orentis, the capital of which is Novus. Trying to keep everything straight is fun. So the Nomad was teamed up with Raiden, who's an assassin slash spy himself, and kind of, in some ways he screws around and doesn't seem to take the situation seriously, but the Nomad doesn't know if they can trust Raiden, but at the same token, Raiden isn't sure he can trust the Nomad. So they kind of have to prove that they're trustworthy to each other, and in the meantime, they meet everyone else. Eric, who was the former Knight Commander of the Palace Guard, and he was exiled for reasons. Maja, the Grand Archmage or Archmage. I'm never sure if you pronounce it the CH or just as hard to see. And then Lucian is a demon, an ambassador to Novus or Orentis, and Brew is full Fae. And then Livia is the new Knight Commander. And Livia, Eric and Maja were lovers, and they parted when Eric was exiled, and Livia was sort of Eric's protege. So she was hit hard by his exile, and then Raiden and Lucian are lovers, but it's kind of more a fuck buddy type arrangement. There's not a deep connection there, and it's kind of we're not going to see it in any of these playthroughs because I didn't choose them for a romance. Someone's always going to miss out if you're just doing the three of them. But you kind of find out that it's because Raiden is a little wary of getting close, and Lucian respects that and doesn't try to push things. But if you do romance them as a poly trio, then you kind of help draw them together in a way. Eric and Maja, honestly, they were pretty much in love and probably would have gotten married eventually, if not for Eric's exile. And I think it seems likely that regardless of whether they were romanced by the main character or not, they end up back together, which is sweet. So anyway, the Nomad has been trying to figure out what's going on. There's definitely something screwy going on. Actually, Adri orders Raiden and the Nomad to attend this winter ball in a nearby, I don't know if it's a separate kingdom or I think it's separate from Orentis, but they're like allies. And basically Adri orders the two of them to go to this ball and find out what's going on. And so while there, they run into these triplets who apparently are very good at finding things out, at collecting secrets. And they say they have information for you, but they're not willing to share it with the ambassador or the knight or the nomad without them doing favors for the three of them first. So the first favor is to get a lock of Eric's hair for one of the triplets. The other two triplets are scandalized by her request. And so that's where we're going to pick up. I take a deep breath and gather my rapidly firing thoughts as I scan the room for Eric. Poor oblivious Eric, who I have to ask to give me some of his fucking hair. What did I do to deserve this? Right? I'm supposed to be on missions fighting bandits and sneaking into high security buildings to steal things, but here I am. Finally I spot him. He's casually lounging against a pillar close. I feel that it feels somewhat jarring, though he is rounding down at the expense of glasses. Band-Aid off, it's gone. They don't have Band-Aids here. Could I possibly acquire a lock of your hair, sir? Now that's interesting. Both the ambassador and the knight danced around the situation and kind of avoided asking Eric right away. But the Nomad's like, nah, let's just get it over with. Hi, Akikor. Yep, new route. I'm alternating between the 3 routes. There's 3 total. Ambassador, Knight, Nomad. And you could pick your name and pronouns for each of them, and you could pick your romance for each of them. You could romance the same person for all of them, but where's the fun in that? Pardon? Confusion, something that looks a lot like fear, and then disgust cross Eric's face in quick succession. I know, it's fucking weird, but they have some information I think would be very useful, and he holds up his hand to silence me. Which one of them asked for it? It honestly seemed more of a mutual desire, actually. Eric rolls his eyes so hard I worry they might fall out of his skull and plop onto the very expensive marble at my feet. I bet this was Rhea's plan. She used to come to the training grounds and just stare. His eyes glaze over for a second as he stares off into the distance. Shakes off whatever thoughts haunts him quickly, though. She did definitely seem to be the most keen on the idea. He sighs heavily. And this will help you think? They have information they claim is highly valuable, but I have to play this weird little game of theirs first. And the first step was getting a lock of your hair. Fine. Take them my fucking hair, I guess. I hope whatever they have to tell you is worth it. Not like I'll miss a few strands, but I just don't like the thought of them wasting your time. He pulls a slim knife from his jacket pocket and offers it to me. Aw, you want me to do the honors? Don't push your luck, Nazarene. Get on with it before I change my mind. I grin at him and take the tiny knife, reaching up to carefully select a lock from the back that he won't miss too much. The blade is sharp enough that it makes a nice clean cut. I pull away victorious, clutching a neat bundle of golden locks. I wave it in his face, and Eric pouts. Thank you. Seriously. He waves me off. Don't mention it. Seriously, don't. Especially not to Raya Rue. They already tease me about my admirers. Your many admirers. But you have my word. My lips are sealed, sir. The word of a shadow. I wink at him and pocket the hair. A chill rolls down my spine, making me shudder, and I quickly turn and spot the triplets hovering in the corner, watching us intently. Have they always been this creepy? Unfortunately. He valiantly downs the remainder of his perfume wine, grimacing as he swallows, then reaches out and taps me on the shoulder. Good luck, Nasreen. You'll need it. And with that, he swiftly straightens out and disappears into the crowd. Shit. I steel myself and approach them. The triplets nod in sync as I come to a stop in front of them. Rhea appears to be vibrating with excitement, and before I can even open my mouth or present her with her little gift, she produces a little silk sachet, seemingly from thin air, and dangles it right in front of my nose. So you watched me then, huh? Rhea rolls her eyes and taps me on the nose with the pouch. Please, Shadow, I've years of experience in watching Sir Eric. Rhea, please, leave a shred of dignity. If not for yourself, for us. I sigh and grab Eric's hair, flinching as Rhea descends upon me like a wild, hungry horse, stealing an apple straight from my palm. I'm shocked she's not drooling like one, too. Her sisters sigh, clearly both disappointed by the display and embarrassed by her eagerness. I mean, I can understand that. There's eager and then there's eager. Are you satisfied, dearest sister? Rhea very carefully places the hair into the silk pouch and tucks it right between her breasts. I have a feeling that's exactly where it ended up the previous times, but the ambassador and knight were just too, what's the word, polite to actually phrase it that way, but this is a nomad. I think I'll refrain from telling Eric that particular detail. Maybe save it for a rainy day. Right. What next? Calista smiles sinisterly and pulls out her tarot deck once again. The gilded edges glisten as she shuffles the cards. She gracefully turns the card at the top of the deck over, sighing and shaking her head as she glances at it. The Tower, a most ominous card, many would say. Her voice is eerily calm, considering. Fantastic! She scoffs, clearly not a fan of sarcasm. The tower usually appears at the precipice of great upheaval and chaos, both personal and societal. I swallow around the sudden lump in my throat. Surely it can't just be a coincidence that she pulled this, right? I let out a nervous laugh without realizing, and the dark flash of her eyes when she glares at me makes me shudder. Okay. Question. How can we tell about her eyes? She's wearing a veil. That makes no sense. But we're so used to including details about eyes that I think sometimes we forget. I pulled the card in the reversed position, dear Shadow. This can represent a fear of change, but also the averting of disaster. That you're on the right path to ensure destruction doesn't occur, but not to fear any change the future may bring. Then she smiles, soft and sincere, and I feel a strange sense of calm wash over me. Avoiding disaster would be preferred. Absolutely, I think everyone would prefer to avoid disaster. Though what disaster means, that changes depending on the person. Right, that is better than I expected, I suppose. She nods graciously, and then her smile morphs into something a little more sinister. And now I'm guessing you have another task for me. Callisto gestures towards Umbriel, and then with a flick of her fan, she motions at the dance floor. I seem to find myself I might have someone in mind who could feel it. Feel it. There is a difference in the pronunciation. The way she's eyeing me is highly suspicious. Wait, you want to dance with me? Umbriel snorts, shaking her head so aggressively that her little prissy tiara almost falls off. Oh gosh, I love how different the Nomad is from the Ambassador and the Knight. It shows that they did not grow up in the same circles. Gods, no. Alright, well, you didn't have to be quite so rude. I was actually hoping you'd be able to persuade Ambassador Veritas to dance with me. Oh, well, that makes much more sense. There's an odd silence that settles between us. It's not like I expected her to want to be seen out there with me, but the request still strikes me as odd. So, are we going to ask the honest question, or are we going to be a little shit? We're going to be... interest. She hums. A few years ago, I had one too many drinks and challenged them to see how many secrets we could each collect in a single evening. I would find the right opportunity to... I suggest you make quick work of your second task, Nesrine. I resign myself to my fate and nod as politely as I can muster. I bow, a little bratty, and take my leave. I can feel their eyes watching me even with my back turned. It would be a lot easier to find Lucian if they weren't glamored. Their luminous skin and the horns are kind of hard to miss, but I've never been one to shy away from a challenge. My instincts tell me that they wouldn't dare stray too far from Raiden, but then I remember that I haven't seen him for going on hours now. The traitorous little shit. Yeah, because outside the ballroom, Raiden and the Nomad were getting ready to go inside, and they heard someone call the Nomad's name, so Raiden just skipped out of there, and it was Maja and Livia. The Nomad was not happy about that. Prowl the crowd, keeping a close eye on the darker corners that I suspect they might stick to. Then I see a flash of white through the window. I find Raiden and... oh dear. What the fuck? Nesrine, how's it going? Okay, I think this is like the first time we've seen Raiden and Livia in a scene together. But we know that Livia is just annoyed to no end by Raiden. I stared blankly at him for a second before I let my gaze flick rapidly between the unlikely pairing. Blink if you need help. Livia merely smirks at me, and I feel my cheeks heat. Remember, the Nomad and Livia are romancing here. She looks incredibly pleased with herself to have the snake cornered, like a lioness sizing up her prey. It's honestly kind of hot. It would be. It would be. I need no help, Nasreen. I was just taking the opportunity to ensure the snake isn't up to no good. I narrow my eyes at Raiden. His grin is far too suspicious. You seem to be feeling quite smug about this. Not every day I can have a nice little chat with my number one hater without her pointing a sword at my throat, so I'd say things are going pretty well. Livia growls. I may not have my sword on my person, but that does not mean I cannot put you in your place if required. The Nomad fought Livia and lost, so you can certainly try. Idiot. Right, well, please don't kill each other. That would be bad. Would it? Livia moves her arm quickly, just a little, just enough, because Raiden seems to flinch like she'd shouted boo right in his ear. Oi, not fair. I clear my throat. I'm actually looking for Lucian. Have you seen them anywhere? Livia sighs loudly and looks around like she'd suddenly rather be anywhere but here now the fun of scaring Raiden shitless is apparently over. I'll leave you two to it. I don't want to be part of any schemes you might be involved in. Aw, going so soon? We were having such a lovely chat about how you're going to wear my entrails as a hat. I still intend to, just not with such a delicate audience. As I was saying, I will take my leave. Just remember that I'm always watching, Snake. Yeah, blah blah, something dungeons for eternity, head on a pike. I get it. Bye-bye now. He's still a little shit and I love it. He waves her off like one would a stray cat, and I tense at the audacity of this man. But Livia takes it in her stride and simply turns her nose up at him before turning and disappearing into the throng of people, no doubt in search of Masha. I take a deep, grounding breath and rub at my temples before I look at him. You! I poke him in the chest. Oi, watch the merchandise. This stolen outfit is very expensive. You fucking ditched me! Again! Yeah, Raiden did that a lot. Oh, yeah, sorry. Nothing personal, promise. Better not be. Thought we were supposed to be a team. I got cornered by the creepy triplets. There we go. I don't know why I suddenly stumbled over that. Not those weirdos. They made me do side quests. I love this. I have been waiting for this line. Like, talk about a meta joke. It takes you back to Final Fantasy XIV, and you're trying to get information about one thing, but nobody will tell you anything until you do this thing for them, and then it leads to something else. It's just kind of spirals from there, and you have friends who are like, what the fuck, can you just not, why can't you just get the information? It's like, this is my life. This is the only way I can get anywhere. You know Akigor. You've played it. Ugh, rotten creatures. I contemplate telling him about the Eric's hair thing, but I decide to save it for a rainy day. That's another difference I like between the Nomad and the Ambassador and the Knight. The Ambassador and the Knight do not even entertain the idea of telling anyone this later on. But the Nomad's like, I'm not gonna say anything just yet, but just gonna keep that in the back of my mind, just in case. Anyway, back to Lucian. Have you seen them? Umbria wants to cash in a favor. Raiden plucks a whole bunch of grapes from the snack table next to him. He hums thoughtfully as he pops a particularly juicy one in his mouth. I can't say I have for a while. They like to mingle. Yes, they do. They do. Plus, the writers have to kind of pad out the whole quest chain to make sure you get all that experience so you level up properly. But, I mean, we got to talk to Horshavant and get to know him, so it kind of pays off. But then, look what happened to Horshavant. Balls. The triplets said they have important information, but they refuse to share it with me unless I do them weird favors. Something mischievous sparks in Raiden's gaze. I love missions, especially ones that sound important and involve rich people. I'm sure you do. Now, help me. He sighs and lifts a single finger as if he's telling me to wait. Then he's lifting the grapes up and tipping his head back, feeding himself right from the bunch. Raiden, I swear to Ungrath. Fine, I saw them heading out of the ballroom a little while ago. Think they were heading towards the bedrooms, maybe? Thank you. No problem. And Nasreen? He squeezes my shoulder gently, his eyes all soft and serious suddenly. I tense. Scream if you need me. Thanks, Raiden. Now go. Don't want to be seen slacking off by your new evil overlords now, do you? I slip out of the ballroom and into the corridor quickly, letting myself blend into the constant flow of people. There are advantages to being a shadow. When faced with the maze of different turns ahead of me, I realized just how big this place truly is. Raiden said something about Lucian heading in the direction of the bedrooms. Maybe they need a break from the gaggles of nobles wanting their attention? Of course I have an itch right under the headphones. I walk forward, politely nodding at anyone who passes me by. No one seems to know who I am, but they don't seem bothered by me, which is nice. I come to a stop in front of one of the many doors that line the corridor, and then I hear a quiet, gentle whisper. This way, Shadow. Oh, darn, we don't get to pick. We don't get to see Cedric and Maddox. I step into the room that calls to me thanks to whatever magic Lucian worked on me, and the first thing I notice is that it's unremarkably identical to the one Raiden and I accosted. Yeah, meta joke. I mean, you gotta save on assets somehow, right? Then, perched upon the bed, it's the very same demon that I'm looking for. Oh gosh, they even look good in their demon form. I'm sure when they came up with the finery outfit for Lucian, they kept that in mind, that it would need to not only look good in their human form, but also in their demon form. But I love the way the lavender contrasts with their skin. Ugh, how dare they? How dare they? Hello there. Starlight Obi-Wan Kenobi? I don't know, that suddenly occurred to me. I wouldn't... They close the small red book they're holding before they tuck it inside their robe. And also from the people. Even I can hardly stand to be around such pomp. I crinkle my nose, except that they simply know too much about everything all the time. As I'm sure you're already aware, I find myself trapped by the Marquis triplets. They said they have some important and time-sensitive information I would definitely be interested in. Lucian raises a brow. Clever little birdies, aren't they? Tonight is quite a moment to show their hand to you. Tell me. Yet. They seem to very much enjoy having me at their beck and call. Nobles and their stupid games, right? Of course, it would surprise me if they offered up anything to you freely. What do they want in exchange for this information? They've all wanted something different so far. Rhea's request was particularly strange. I almost blurted out, but I think about Eric's sad face when he asked me to keep it a secret, which I had been sworn to secrecy about. Close-up seems to be the last one, so I'm not sure what she wants yet, but Umbriel... I grimace. She wants you to dance with her. Lucian's impeccable facade cracks at this, and I can't help but snort. Sorry. I cannot stand Umbriel. She's one of the few mortals I've ever lost a competition to, and one about gossip at that. I learned to abandon pride long ago, but that loss stung. Sounds like you really suffered. Indeed I did. I'm glad you so graciously recognized that. Their smile quickly drops, and they sigh heavily, their flawless posture wavering. It appears the time has come to cash in her favor, I suppose. I couldn't avoid it forever. Consider it done, Nasreen. That was a lot less embarrassing to carry out than Rhea's. Thanks, Lucian. Lucian smiles as they stand and brush non-existent wrinkles from their robes. think nothing of it. Hopefully you glean something insightful from what they have to tell you. I stand to join them as they approach the door. They pause as their hand curls around the handle. The air is alight with interesting energy this evening. Can you feel it? Certainly alight with something. If it's good or bad energy remains to be seen. I blink once and then they're gone, almost like they disappeared into thin air. They're a demon. It's entirely possible. I let myself bask in a few precious moments of peace and quiet out of the room, away from the buzz of the ball. I could stay here, I think, just hide away, but I only have one task left. I've accomplished way more difficult things than something as silly as a little game like this. Then maybe something useful will finally come of this trip and we can go home. As I draw closer to the ballroom, the echo of music and voices grows louder, and my resolve begins to harden. Ooh. Typo! I'm so close to getting that information I can practically taste it. I wonder, is it about Adora and Thaddeus? I know they're up to no good, and maybe they're more similar to me than I initially expected of a king and queen. Dark dealings lurking in the shadows. Unlikely. That's fun to contemplate something so valuable falling into my lap. I imagine they have servants to do their nasty deeds for them, unless they really like getting their hands dirty. You never know. I have a quiet laugh to myself. Everyone within these walls and the palace back home has a network of people doing their dirty work for them. Flocks of birds. The sound of a deep voice speaking in hushed whispers suddenly hits me, making me stop in my tracks. It sounds like it's coming from behind the door on my left, cracked open just enough for me to eavesdrop. To see. I take a quiet, practiced step closer. It's Nazir Oloyinka, Maja's infamous brother, a count that holds a small but prosperous territory near Novus, and goes by the Lord of Ravens. So, even though the Nomad meet Nazir before, they still recognize him. I almost scoff at the thought of his self-proclaimed moniker. The man apparently loves to make himself sound and feel important for what Adri has told me about him. They spoke of him with disdain, unsurprisingly so, considering he also moonlights as the royal spy master. His job is to ensure royal messages are sent and received throughout the kingdom, and also ensures that orders from the crown are carried out to Adora and Thaddeus' satisfaction. He's also incredibly adept at squashing any rumors of rebellion or discord, ensuring they grow no farther than meager rumors. The methods he uses to carry out such tasks aren't rumored to be pretty. So this is a different side of Nazir that we're hearing about, because the ambassador and knight just know him as the royal spy master. They don't know him as more than that. But the Nomad gets a different story because, of course, they're hearing about Nazir from Adri, who's like their foe. His foe, excuse me. So we're kind of understanding exactly more what he does as the spy master, what his job entails beyond being spy master. No wonder Adri dislikes him. He actively makes their job harder, and therefore mine too. There's someone else in there with him that I can't quite make out. They're shrouded in shadow, and the crack in the door isn't wide enough to get any other details. I promise I'm trying. Something like this is hard to do in such a public arena. And is this a good idea? I don't know if I want to. I can't. Nazir rolls around and I jerk away from the door, slipping away with ease as I make my way back to the ballroom. Then something stops me in my tracks, an awful, oppressive, cold feeling that washes over me from the top of my head to the tips of my toes. I clutch my chest, Ungrass mark thrumming, but not burning. Terrible sense of unease settles in my gut. It feels like Novus. At the end of my encounter with Ungrath, when everything began to decay before my eyes, when the world began to crumble, the same lack of breath, the same fear and crippling anxiety that now threatens to grab hold of me. My throat starts to feel dry, my breathing growing labored. I can't be here. I don't stop walking until I'm back in the ballroom, maintaining a cool facade so I don't draw attention from curious eyes. I spot Lucian dancing with Umbriel, and I wonder if I should cut in and seek their assistance, but I think I need to find Maja. And fast. Finding her isn't exactly difficult, thankfully. People tend to gravitate towards her, attracted like moths to a flame. I spot her on the dance floor, her dress flowing behind her as she spins and twirls with a woman I don't recognize. She's dancing with a woman! Thank you, Lunaris! I manage to catch her eye and her smile immediately drops. I nod once as she seems to apologize to her companion for stopping their dance early. She tips her head towards the balcony, and I follow. Nasreen, what is it? You look skittish. I have a quiet, nervous laugh. Don't I always? She frowns, but I quickly check that we're not being watched. Carefully pull her away from the windows and towards a quiet corner near the railing. I cut straight to the chase. Have you seen your brother tonight? Masha's expression instantly turns cold. She wrings her hands nervously. He's been making the necessary rounds. May I ask why? I know I probably sound crazy. I don't even know what he was talking about, but he said he didn't want to do something, or couldn't. He sounded weird, and something about it just didn't sit right with me. You know I'm someone who trusts their gut, and it's usually on the money. She's impossibly quiet for longer than feels uncomfortable. Didn't manage to see who he was with? I shake my head. I don't want to mention Ungrap, and I certainly don't want to mention Novus. Not here. Masha seems to shake herself free of any potentially dire thoughts and places a comforting hand on my shoulder. He's a spy master, Nasreen. This place is rife with secrets. I'm sure whatever he was doing very well might have been suspicious, but not in the way you're thinking. Her voice is so calm and she sounds so sure of what she's saying that it almost calms me down. Almost. Okay, gonna get a dice. Hang on. Okay. I have a D4, so I don't think it really is going to change anything. Which will we pick? So 1, 2, 3, 4. 3. Stand. Masha is painfully smart, but she also doesn't have to worry about the distinct difference between the things got caught on my foot that happen in my shadows to the ones that happen in hers. I take a deep breath and plaster on a smile. Right, I think I just let the fact that I'm in unknown territory get the better of me. I understand. I smile at her, but it feels forced. I hope she doesn't register the fact. I just know that whatever is about to happen here tonight isn't going to be good. Then her expression suddenly drops into something a little meaner, but I quickly realize her apparent anger isn't directed at me. Have those triplets been hassling you? I fix her with a blank expression. Oh, not at all. I love their company. In fact, we're best friends now. Her laugh almost soothes my worries. Very convincing, Nasreen, but no one can tolerate them. I should actually go and find them again. Time for my third quest of the evening. She tilts her head, her eyes narrowing in question. I've been doing them some favors in exchange for some apparently juicy information. And there you go, telling me secrets I most certainly do not want to know about yet again. Exactly that. Very typical of them to hone in on fresh prey. Brave of you to oblige them, Nasreen. You would fit well in court. My eyes widen in horror at the mere thought of it. Gods, no. Be careful. You're smart to be cautious. Do not take my love for my brother as blind ignorance that he isn't up to no good. Just trust your gut. I nod, struck by the honesty. She reaches out and squeezes my hand once. It's reassuring. Don't want to keep you, but find me if you need me. I take a deep breath and nod in affirmation, watching as Masha goes reassuring the group of nobles that she was with before I interrupted. Time to find the triplets. Again. I spot them easily, Umbriel still flushed from her dance with Lucian as they gather back into their perfect little formation. Welcome, Shadow. Looks like Lucian got you all worked up and worn out, Rhea. I think it was Umbriel. Ray and Callisto failed to hide their giggles at the expense of their sister's embarrassment. Something like that. So happy they enjoyed yourself. I guess I met your birthday now, Lady Callisto. The lips twist into a sinister grin. I do love someone who just cuts right to the chase. She pulls out the tarot cards again. I roll my eyes. Not the fucking cards. All three of them glare at me. If looks could kill. Rhea scoffs and flutters her fan angrily. Your crassness is refreshing at times. This is not one of them. This is part of the deal, Nazarene. Surely you picked up on that by now, clever as you are. Well, shit, she's got me there. I'm keeping up just fine. Rhea and Umbriel roll their eyes. You're fooling no one. A game this may be, but we're trying to help you above all else. The information we're offering is of great value, but is also delicate. We may have allowed you to act like the commoner you are until now, but this is the final draw, so pay attention. We are hiding in plain sight just as much as you are, Shadow. Keep trying to make it harder for yourself, and there will be consequences for all of us. You really should give me some lessons in how to be cryptic. I have been cryptic in the sense that my words seem to have fallen outside the bounds of your mental capacity. Just as savage with all of them. Oh, wow! That was harsh, but not entirely undeserved. I kind of respect her more now, actually. With a pointed huff, Callisto pulls the next and final card. And of fucking course it's death! A skeleton in armor atop a horse, the most recognizable card even to those who are unfamiliar with the practice of reading. Shit. I quickly cover my mouth, recalling the stern talking to I just got about being uncouth. But Callisto merely laughs. Fear not, Nazarene, this card stares most at first, but some would say it is one of the more positive ones in the deck. I raise my brow. Right, because the word death is always linked with positivity. Umbriel rolls her eyes. Says the one who makes a living off of it. She's got a point. Technically, Callisto clears her throat to put a stop to our conversation. While in the reverse position, death can indicate a resistance to change, but it can also represent new beginnings. Upright, death does signify endings in the sense that there is a new journey waiting in the aftermath. In layman's terms, there is hope. Some things may end, but what comes after will be better. Is that easier to discern for you? I nod. Good. Now, I would like to ask for my favor. She puts the cards away, produces a small card with a serpent coiled around a dagger stamped on it in red ink. This looks familiar, like the tattoo on all members of the Hand of the Serpent, of my guild. Great! I don't even need to say anything for them to know how I feel about this. Callisto simply smirks and presses the card to my palm. I need to speak with your companion. Please return with him by your side, or the deal is off. So we're not going to actually ask this question. Raiden may be a little shit and say murder far too loud around nobles, but we're going to be a little more discreet. Why him? I can do anything he can. Why him? We're from the same guild. Callisto's lips turn into a snarl, her perfectly white teeth bared. Her sisters scoff in unison behind her. Him or nothing. But why? We are operating on a time constraint here, Shadow. If you're having an ethical dilemma about putting me in contact with one of your colleagues when I've already been conversing with you in plain sight, I think you need to rethink it. Clench my jaw. It's not about the ethical dilemma, it's about the promise I made to Raiden and the one he made me in return. We watch each other's backs. This doesn't feel very loyal. Throwing him to the wolves. But Raiden is smart, far more than anyone gives him credit for, and we need this information. Fine. Good little Shadow. I scoff and turn on my heel, feeling their eyes burning into the back of my skull once again. My first guess is to look near the refreshment table, but all I find there is Rue stuffing their face with biscuits. Hey, Nasri, want some? They shove a crumb-covered hand in my face, their eyes sparkling with glee. No, I'm fine on the biscuit front. Thanks, though. You look horribly frazzled. Everything all right? I bite my tongue and nod. I have to find Rye. Have you seen him? Rue pouts and heaves out a big sigh. Oh dear, Nazreen. I think he went outside for some fresh air. I narrow my eyes at the implication of the added air quotes. What's he up to now? I always say it's better not to ask. Smart. Okay, well, I'll go find him then, I guess. Thanks, Rue. As I turn to leave, Rue grabs my wrist. You feel it too, right? Something's off? I freeze. There's a lot wrong with this place. They drop their hand and nod, their brow pinched. I think about Rue's thinly veiled warning as I head into the crowd. I spot Eric deep in conversation with Masha. It doesn't interrupt whatever important conversation they're having. Then there's Lucian, who appears to be talking to an old burly earl, looking equal parts amused and disgusted, their eyes focused mainly on the man's outrageous mustache where it wobbles as he speaks. I finally reach the balcony doors and hear them open, stepping out into the cold night. I spot him immediately. Hey, you alright? You look frazzled? Yeah. Listen, I have a favor to ask you. A favor? Take a deep breath. What did the damn triplets ask you this time? I offer him a wounded look. Callisto gave me this. I slip the card into his palm and his eyes go wide. A calling card? They want to do a job for them? Here? I shrug. He's not asking me because he needs an answer. He already knows what this implies. I need to go handle this with Callisto. Be careful, something doesn't feel right. When does it ever these days? I'll be alright, Nazreen. Dealt with far nastier things than 3 snooty sisters. I nod, but I still don't like this. I'll find you later. He's gone before I can say anything else. Take the opportunity to take a deep breath and attempt to ground myself among all of this, whatever this is. I lean against the railing, staring out over the snowy landscape. It looks so beautiful and peaceful, the coating of white sparkling in the moonlight. I wonder what life would have been like for me if I was one of these nobles, not a care in the world, more money than I could ever dream of, not caught up in a feud with the gods. Weirdly, I find myself missing Vithris for the first time in a while. Certainly not perfect, but at least its existence isn't being directly threatened by omnipotent beings that I alone can stop. Exhaustion seeps deep into my bones. All this better be worth it. It has to be. I get lost in my thoughts, also losing track of time. I don't move from my spot until I see Rue approaching, accompanied by someone I certainly didn't expect to see. There's no mistaking who she is. The pointed ears, familiar red curls, the gleaming brown eyes. The infamous Lady Silverleaf. Her face is stern in comparison to Rue's softness, and Rue rushes to my side, concern etched on their features. Where's Raiden? He's busy. He'll be back shortly, I'm sure. Rue nods, but Lady Silverleaf hasn't moved, her eyes fixated on me. I give a small bow. It's nice to finally meet you, Lady Silverleaf. I didn't think you were attending. She inclines her head, but she doesn't seem to want to return the politeness, nor does she answer my question. You've been very busy tonight. You've been watching me. I don't pose it as a question. I know she has eyes everywhere, even if she was tardy to the party. Eleanor's eyes narrow and she steps closer. Next to me, I feel Rue tense. There are powerful players on the board, and they're making their moves. I'm curious at how someone like you factors in. Will you make a difference, I wonder? Eleanor. Okay, we're not going to ignore her. We're going to stand up to her. As I roll straighter, squaring my shoulders. This is clearly a woman who has made her judgment of me and doesn't intend to change it. I think you might have underestimated me. I might be a lowly shadow to most, but I appear to be important enough, right? Her face remains unchanged. You might think that I'm weak, diluted with human blood, but I'm far from it. She frowns deeply, her mouth twitching like she's about to bare her teeth, but she regains her composure. Impermanence makes humans brash and irrational. That has proven detrimental to your race, no matter if you have some fey blood inside you. But you seem to be set apart, chosen by somebody far more powerful to do their bidding. Eleanor, stop! I am merely warning you, Rue. There may soon be a time where these creatures you hold so dear will be gone. I am trying to prepare you. As if Rue doesn't know that already? I think... Can't remember which route it was, but Rue told one of the main characters that their name wasn't originally Rue. That a lover they had in the past gave them the name. So it's not like Rue is unfamiliar with the fact that mortals die eventually. But despite the fact that mortals don't live forever, Rue still befriends them. They still befriended Raiden, they still befriended Eric, they befriended the main character. They know and they don't care. You're wrong. Their hands bunch at their sides, but Eleanor refuses to listen to them. focusing once more on me. She points at my chest, right where Ungrasp's mark lies. You've been marked by the god of death. It is a secret known to more beings than you realize. I suggest you tread carefully. Without giving either of us a chance to respond, she leaves. Her words echo sharply in my mind. It's rare for a fae like her to speak so harshly. Hoping how the kindness of her heart doesn't seem to be her style, nor even out of her fondness for Rue. Isn't it dangerous for Eleanor to be here? Are you going to be okay with her not looking out for your tree? They take a deep, shuddering breath. She wouldn't let anything happen to it, Nazarene. I don't know what's gotten into her. Their honesty is usually a comfort to me, but right now it just hurts. My sister and I rarely see eye to eye on anything anymore, but even so, she's never taken such a harsh stance. She's always been dedicated to the in-between, never choosing one side over the other. What did she say to you? Eleanor has never found much value in the company of humans, not like I have. She finds them entertaining at best and a threat unto their own kind and ours at worst. And I can understand that. It's not an uncommon view amongst my people. They take a deep breath, collecting themselves. There's been a significant shift in energy in Orentis. I felt it since the strangers showed up in the forest. The trees whispered, Nazarene. It's not just in Novus. Fae all over the country can feel something churning in the underbelly. The country being Orentis. Like I said, Novus is the capital. I can feel it too, something deep and disconcerting that settles at the base of my neck. It's a constant thrumming that becomes harder to ignore as the days pass by. Something that threatens humans, but I think it affects us too. But my sister can't see that. She wants me to do what our kind has always done. Retreat, hide, protect ourselves. It's hard to miss the way their eyes start to shine. They hastily wipe away the brimming tears with the back of their hand. I can't do that to the people I care about, to Rye and Eric and you. You'll need us, need our help. I can't abandon everyone knowing that. I tried to get Eleanor to see, but she's just as stubborn as I am, if not more so. For once I could truly see Rue's age shining through their youthful exterior. They've seen so much, time would be inconsequential to other fae their age, but they choose to stay, to live amongst us, to form bonds they'll long outlive. It'll be okay. It's hard to sound convincing. They smile, but they pointedly don't echo my sentiment. They can't. They aren't supposed to lie. They can dance around the truth, but they can't lie outright. Come on, Nazarene, let's go save Rye. I don't know if it's supposed to be Rye or Ray, but I have fun saying Rye. Immediately spot an incredibly pissed off looking Raiden flanked by the triplets, and I approach with extreme caution. You still haven't explained how you've garnered a favor from the Viper. They don't give those out freely, and not to powdered gossips like you. Callisto sneers. I don't have to. It's not necessary for you to complete your job. Raiden clenches his fist, his expression twisting into something furious. Callisto looks annoyed as she casts her gaze upon me. This does not concern you, Shadow. You've done what I've asked. It concerns my companion. Whatever you say to him, you can say to me. We're a team. Aw. Not now, dickhead. Raiden snorts and nudges me with his shoulder. Callisto glares at me, clearly still highly annoyed by my presence despite knowing how very annoying I can be. Can we finish our conversation now, Snake? If we must. I've made my point. Let's just let him. There's times to be a little shit and there's times to not be a little shit. This is a time to not be a little shit. Let them continue. I take a deep breath. We need that information, and Raiden is a big boy. He's more than capable of looking after himself. You're not going to have him do anything tonight, not here. Are you? Callisto bristles with annoyance. Are you kidding? Absolutely not. I'm just checking. Okay, Nazarene. It's okay, Nazarene. I can handle these gals. I'll come find you in a bit, alright? I can see right through his smile. He's an expert liar, but not to me. Not anymore. I smile right back at him. Wonderful. I linger near the refreshment table, and I wait. Doesn't take long. Raiden is a seasoned deal maker, even without Adri's assistance. All done? Raiden shrugs and grabs a handful of cheese from the table. Not done. I haven't murdered anyone in the space of 5 minutes. Funny, you know what I mean. He shakes his head, munching cheese on a cheese cube cheese cube like a little mouse. Nothing's going to happen tonight, not here. Right, makes sense. Now that very pleasant lady has some things to share with you, I think. Ugh. He passed me on the shoulder. You know, I could put you out of your misery if you'd prefer. I snort and grab his arm, dragging him along. Today is not my day, and certainly not by your hand. Come on, I want company. Callisto narrows her eyes at our approach. She reaches into her bag and withdraws a final tarot card. A man holding a bundle of swords, 2 further blades impaled in the ground behind him as he walks away from them. I shall preface this by saying that this is one of the most urgent and dangerous cards you have seen tonight. The 7 of Swords. The sisters inhale sharply, their fans fluttering with a frantic energy that puts me on edge. Excuse me. Let me be clear. This card is... Okay. One sec. I'm almost done. Let me just get through the rest of this. This card has one prominent meaning in its upright state: betrayal and deception. Brayden and I both tense. Define betrayal. In our line of work, we're more than used to the word, but it has different meanings. I mean, in the sense that there is someone who holds enough power in this court to make things happen in a public place like this, and make their misdeeds disappear with the shadows. And when you say urgent, Callisto rolls her eyes. I mean tonight. Here. The ball draws closer to its finale by the minute. I suggest you stay on your guard. All I can think is Nazier. I need to tell Raiden what I saw. Need to warn the others. I'd never forgive myself if any of them ended up being collateral damage. Thank you. Brayden tips a non-existent hat at the 3 of them. Pleasure doing business with you. Reach for his arm and turn to leave, but Callisto pointedly clears her throat. I pause. Running off so quickly, do you not want to hear what else I have to offer? She steps in almost too closely to lean in and whisper. The castle contains all sorts of treasures, some made of gold and silver, some encrusted with jewels, but some of the most valuable things in that palace are not crowns or gilded chains, but weapons. Old ones that hold tremendous power from eons of use. Find them, and one will call to you. It will be the key to your survival, and ours. She steps back, and it looks like a weight has been lifted on her shoulders. How long had the triplets been holding on to that information, I wonder? Callisto discreetly gestures with her chin towards Lucian, who's prowling the edge of the dance floor looking for a dance partner. That little red book Ambassador Veritas has been wandering around with is quite fascinating, you know? It would be worth getting a good look at. But I'd hurry if I were you. It's in high demand. I nod, getting the hint. I think our time in your company has come to an end, Shadow. It has been a pleasure. Her grimace says otherwise. You don't have to lie for my sake. She offers a tight smile. We'll be watching. If you play your cards right, you won't lose. The triplets curtsy in unison and fade into the crowd. Betrayal and deception. It's going to be a long fucking night. All I could think about is getting that book from Lucian. It's not like I could snatch it from them in plain sight and take a seat in the middle of the festivities to have a little browse, but maybe if I just asked nicely? I mean, they do like the Nomad. They find them amusing. They're dancing, switching partners often, and I can think of nothing I want to do less right now, especially when there's apparently a target painted on my back. Finally, I managed to get their attention. I waved them over, and they joined me on the outskirts of the dance floor. Need something? Heard from a particularly noisy little bird that the little red book you've been carrying around might be of some importance to me. I see. Cutting right to the point, I shrug. No point being around the metaphorical bush now, is there? It was implied that the book holds all the dirty little secrets I require to finish my puzzle. But I'm also aware that I'm not the only one trying to get my greedy little paws on it. How curious indeed. I narrow my eyes at them, and I'm really hoping I don't have to wrestle them for it. Or worse, get involved in another game of riddles. We stand and stare each other down. They aren't going to budge on this right now, are they? I'm not letting go of this easily, you know. I wouldn't expect anything less, Nazreen. Lucian looks around, checking for prying eyes, and I think that's supposed to be a den. They dip their hand into their robes and produce the precious red book. Be gentle now, won't you? I quickly shove it into my pocket. I trust you can take care of yourself, but be careful, nevertheless. I sigh and watch as they head back onto the dance floor, not a care in the world. Wonder what that's like. The book burns a hole in my pocket, and I need to find a quiet place to read it before curiosity gets the better of me. The balcony is blissfully empty when I step outside. A particularly upbeat song just started, and it seems every noble in the place decided it's their moment to shine. I perch myself on the railing and get stuck in. The book is smooth, covered in a worn fabric that I suspect was far brighter when it was first bound. The spine is faded, and the undeniable musty scent of old parchment wafts towards me as I lift it close to my face to inspect it. Oh, I love the smell of old books. I take a deep breath as I move to open it, my whole body screaming at me to run. I try to shake it off, as if it's just mounting fear and anxiety of a stressful day creeping up on me, but then I can't move. My voice is trapped in my throat, my breath sticking and stuttering as the hairs on the back of my neck stand to attention. Distantly through the haze, I hear the click of boots against the stone. Nazir. Good evening, Nazreen. A pleasure to finally meet you. His eyes are cold and conniving, the corner of his mouth lifting in a wicked little smirk that makes my blood run cold. I want to bite back, to reply, to tell him to piss off, but I can't. I clench my jaw, and Nazir merely laughs. Glad to see you're enjoying the party. This sensation is so like the one that washed over me when Adora got inside my mind back in the past that there's no way it can't be aided by her. As far as I know, Nazir doesn't hold any magic, despite the dumb wizard theories he loves to peddle around about himself. It has to be her. Them. The Queen and King. Nazir certainly isn't doing this alone. Are you sure it's the King and Queen? But I'm stubborn, made of tougher stuff than all these fucking nobles. I've been through worse than a little oppressive magic. I push against it, pouring all of my strength into it. Just a little, just enough, I feel the hold weaken. I exhale sharply, feeling distinctly like I've been holding my breath. Nazir huffs and rolls his eyes. Clear my throat as I feel it open up, my limbs still stiff, but with each passing moment, my mobility comes back to me. What the fuck do you want? Nazir cocks his head, and he studies me. His face is inscrutable. He's clearly been well trained, but so have I. I hope he realizes he's up against one of his own, a snake with nothing to lose. He flicks his wrist, and a sleek dagger slides into his palm while my heart plummets into my stomach. For a nobody, you sure are in high demand, aren't you? I must confess, for the longest time, I wasn't sure why. Novus is a delicate and complex place. There are many forces at work at any given time. Numerous forces, physical and otherwise, pushing and receding at any given moment. But for the longest time, it was stable, on track. And then you came along. Okay, just like with the Ambassador and Knight, we're not saying anything. We're going to let him continue monologuing. Stare him down. Villains do always love to monologue. Maybe we'll just let him have this one. I've been watching you, you know? I have eyes and ears all over Novus, even down in the underbelly where your kind resides. Aunt Adri is nowhere near as careful as they think they are. I bite back a snarky retort. I know Adri keeps their shit tight, and I know nothing of this man other than what they've told me of him, and that was to never ever trust a single thing that comes out of his mouth. Your presence in Novus hasn't gone unnoticed. People talk, you see you running around with a noble knight with the Fae, know you have connections within the palace. You fancy yourself some kind of anti-hero, don't you? A voice for the normal folk. Their majesties aren't too fond of such antics, and neither are those with power far greater than you or I could imagine. That was who gave me my mission tonight. And what mission is that? To kill you. I've been watching you this evening, trying to find out what made you so special that Death himself would bless you with his mark. What made the most powerful beings in Errantis want to take you off the board? Want you taken off the board. You're stubborn and determined, that much is clear, but there is something different about you. Fear engulfs me, but I know how to push it down, how to mask it. I sighed, cocking my head. So, are you going to kill me or just going to keep talking? I'm getting bored. It seems to be the natural state for someone like the Shadow or Nomad to just be a little shit to someone even when their life is being threatened. I knew you would be uncouth, but this is a little too much, don't you think? You have to let me assess this situation. Risking your loyalty to Adora and Thaddeus because you think I might be useful to them? Nazir shakes his head. I am sworn to them. Betraying them like that isn't a possibility for me. The truth takes a moment to settle in, and when it does, it makes my blood run cold. They are the ones who want me dead. You are clever. That would mean Novus. He doesn't need to say anything. His smile is confirmation enough. You don't consider going over their heads and straight to the big bad as a betrayal? Some would beg to differ, Nazir. A harsh, cold laugh escapes his lips. Their majesties are no normal humans, Nazreen. Who do you think gave them their gifts, their ability to rule? I bite my tongue so hard I taste blood. Of course! He sees recognition on my face and smirks. Like I said, clever. You've made yourself so busy collecting all sorts of valuable information. As a spy master, I can't help but be impressed. In another world, I consider asking you to be my protege. I'm already in high demand. Sorry, you know Adri, right? I do. He spits the words through gritted teeth. He had a nerve with that one. Good to know. So it shouldn't just be I do, it should be I do. Anyway, this information you have makes you useful, valuable. I'm not ignorant enough to see the loss your death would be. You could be a tremendous aid to our noble cause. The cause of destruction, pain, death, and ruin? Something suddenly shifts, the air crackling with energy, everything flowing towards Nazir like he's sucking the atmosphere right up. His eyes are black, and when he speaks, his voice is distinctly familiar in a terrifying, oppressive way. Nazreen Kadir. There's a noise to my side, and I pull my gaze up from Nazir towards the palace. I can see Raiden and Errant trying to get towards me, held at bay by an invisible barrier. Maja is behind them, mouth moving frantically, hands glowing with magic. What little comfort this brings is quickly diminished by Nazir, or Novus. You dare to question my cause? The smile that spreads across Nazir's face is cold and inherently evil. I have watched Novus for millennia, mortal. I've seen the rise and fall of countless dynasties. Tell me, what must happen for a world to be rebuilt, for it to start anew? The greenest trees grow on land blackened by fire. How is this any different, I ask? I seek to build a better world for its inhabitants. The rulers of Novus have recognized this. The mortal whose form I take does as well. Do you not wish to see a world reborn into something greater? There's a flare of bright light, and before me is no longer the icy halls of Ardurin. By the way, I commented on the different spellings of Ardurin, and they were fixed in the latest patch. But there are plenty of other typos. But prosperous green fields, a gilded castle, images of happy people in a market. It looks like utopia, an attainable one. I could help make that a reality. So, obviously, just like with the Ambassador at night, we're not buying it. Nope, no way, no how. The mark on my chest burns and I gasp as the illusion around me fades. You're a liar. Am I? Who else has the power to make something like this possible? Tendrils of pressure try to curl around my legs, my arms. People do. Something as wicked and as warped as you doesn't have it in their nature to make something beautiful. Nazir's face grows angry, and the pressure builds, but Masha's magic holds strong. Glance over my friends watch, worry and fear on their faces. Masha's shoulders sag from exhaustion. You're nothing but a liar and a cheat. You've been deceiving the queen and king, who are so desperate for power that they buy your stories. It's the same age-old story of greed and narcissism with people like them. I'm not as foolish. I have little to lose. Your promises will turn to ash once you've attained the strength to get what you want. Foolish mortal. Few find themselves in the presence of a god, and you dare defy me like this? Enough. You die. Here. Now. With a cry, Nazir surges forward, his dagger raised. Instinctively, I jump up, ready to defend myself. I'm certainly not going down without a fight. Then a flash of searing pain that starts at the center of my chest and branches out, the force of it slamming me against the wall. All the breath leaves my body in a whoosh, and I gasp as I try to get more into my lungs. No! The light fades and I see Nazir scrambling away from me, a swirl of dark shadow appearing behind him. His eyes burn, and I know it's Novus that looks at me with rage. He lets the darkness swallow him up, and then he's gone. All at once I hear footsteps rush towards me. Raiden grabs me, heaving me to my feet. His eyes dart over to where Nazir disappeared, clearly desperate to try and follow him into the night. I want to, too, but I shake my head at him, and he understands. There's no point. Eric and Masha come to look me over, but I brush them off. I'm fine, I promise. She's had worse, right, Nazreen? I have a laugh at the painfully earnest look in his eyes as he attempts to lighten the mood. Oh yeah, much worse. Masha doesn't seem entirely convinced, and I feel the warmth of her magic washing over me, searching for bits that might need stitching together. Thanks. She nods. What the fuck happened? Why did Nazir try to attack you? There's no casual way to say that you just survived an assassination attempt by your friend's brother, while he was possessed by an ancient god. He was supposed to kill me. Thankfully, I apparently have friends in very high places. Pound my fist against my chest, the insignia still glowing softly through my clothing. Big up the god of death, Ungrath. My man. I elbow him in the ribs. If only he knew how to read the room. The queen and queen sent him to... I shake my head. Can't explain here. It's not as safe. Should we head back to Novus? Get the hell out of here? I don't think that's entirely wise right now. Right. I look into the ballroom. The party is still in full swing. You'd never be able to tell that a god just tried to kill someone. Go figure. I know exactly what I need right now, though. After a short respite and a period of fussing, Eric, Masha, and Raiden finally leave me. But not until Olivia showed up. I recounted the story to her as best as I could, trying my very best to sugarcoat it, despite knowing she'll find out the truth eventually. For now, I can be a little selfish. I've been through so much. Liv, please, can we just try and salvage whatever's left of this shit show of an evening? I really want that dance, you know. Oh, she's wearing a cloak! I've never seen her in a cloak before. Goes really well with her dress. Oh my goodness. Dancing at a time like this, it just feels wrong. I'm sorry I wasn't there. I didn't... She trails off, her shoulders slumping. Fine, I do want to spend time with you after all. But no funny business. I feigned shock. Me? Funny business? I could never. I'm a perfectly well-behaved, upstanding citizen. Yeah, sure. Just no more running around doing errands for questionable figures, yes? Does nothing go unnoticed around here? You underestimate me. Never. I step closer to her and run my hand over the thick fur of her cape. She looks incredible, authoritative, even in a dress. Then I shiver, once again realizing just how fucking cold this place is now that the adrenaline has worn off. Livia noses, and she steps close with wide eyes, quickly tugging off her cape to drape it over my own shoulders. I nearly said Lucia. Brain, this is Errant Kingdom, not Final Fantasy XIV. Keep it together here. It doesn't help that Lucia has a sister named Livia. A sister that you kill. Go figure. Better? You'll catch a death. I feel my cheeks heating, the chivalrous gesture catching me off guard. So sweet. Oh my gosh. Oh, there's a reason I love this woman. I dare say I might be swooning. But you'll be cold too. She shrugs. I'm used to it. Hardened warrior. I run my hands over her bare arms, and she's right. She is still unusually warm. It may be just lingering warmth from the cloak. Find myself distracted. Wow. Arms. The same weakness I have. I love someone with big, strong arms. I get distracted sometimes. I used to watch the TV show Numbers, and one of the characters he's really muscular, and when he's wearing short sleeves and folds his arms across his chest, it's very distracting. Oh my gosh, the CGs. They're so beautiful. Livia snorts, covering her mouth in a poor attempt to stifle the uncouth noise. It's horribly endearing. I'm reminded of Piper's snort. Oh gosh, Piper's my favorite too. I have like 2 different types, and it's really weird. Like Livia, strong, muscular, sturdy warrior, yet soft underneath. But I also like the nerds. The people who get so absorbed in their work and their research that they forget the world around them. I don't know why I have those two types, but I do. There's really nothing better than seeing her relax like this, and I find myself feeling a little less pissed off over the fact that I had to come here if it means I get to see her happy. Even if it's just for a brief moment. You're really beautiful, you know? She stares at me, her cheeks pink. Gods, I should be used to you saying things like that by now. You really should be. But to be fair, they haven't had much of a chance to spend time together, since they admitted to their feelings for each other. You turn me into babbling mess, Nazarene. How do you do that? Part of my charm, I suppose. She giggles, stepping closer to mimic my earlier gesture of running her hands over the fur. Thank you. You make me happy. So, it make me happy, too. It's been so rough recently. After everything that happened with Eric, and then with Masha as a result. I lost two of the most important people in my life. Despite Masha still being around, it just felt stilted. I was selfish and I blamed her for pulling away, but I can't really comprehend the loss that she felt. It was much greater than my own. But since you arrived, things have been better. Masha and I are close again, or we're getting there at least. And Eric, she pauses, looking pensive. It pains me to know they both desire to fix it, but are both too stubborn to make the first move. You could speak to him, you know? I know. I almost approached him multiple times this evening, but I chickened out. He misses you. I think you should consider it. You would both be so much happier. Yes, we would. I will try. That's the spirit. A particularly loud cheer rings out from the ballroom behind us, and I watch her shoulders tense, her eyes narrowing as her gaze flicks to the party. Ugh, I hate parties. I don't even like dancing. I'd much rather just have you all to myself, somewhere quiet. I take her hand without hesitation. Then let's go. What's stopping us? You have a room, right? She nods mutely, squeezing my hand. I grin, something wicked, and she laughs as I tug her along. A number of eyes fall on us when we enter the ballroom, but I could care less. I don't think Novus himself could stop me from spending time with Liv right now. Well, he could try, I guess. I mean, he did try. I sit patiently on the bed while Olivia eagerly changes into her nightwear, tossing her formal gown aside like a rag, tugging at the pins that style her hair until it falls freely around her face. She joins me then, sitting close, thigh to thigh. She takes my hand, and it's hard not to notice the blush that sweeps across her cheeks. She's quiet for a while, looking very much like she has something important to say. I feel very different around you. What I mean to say is, I've found it hard to show people my true self, knowing the expectations they might have of me. With you, it feels different. You don't see me as my title or my duty. You just see me as Livia, and I trust you. Strange to fathom, I know, but I do. I mean, she's a shadow, she's a nomad, she's a spy, and Livia trusts her? She offers me a sly smile as I reach out and press my hand to her cheek. Her skin is warm, and she covers my hand with her own, leaning into my touch. Well, there's a humor under all of that armor, and I've grown quite fond of her too. And I also trust you, mostly that you no longer desire to run me through with your sword or throw me in the dungeons, but debatable. Her expression is serious for a beat before she cracks a steadying smile, and I can't help but lean in and rest my forehead against hers, just wanting to be close. Okay, so we haven't seen this before, but the hearts will dictate what happens. This is the heart with the asexual flag. So that's if you don't want things to get steamy. It'll still be romantic, but it won't go beyond cuddles, basically. The red heart means it's going to get steamy. They're gonna get naked. So this shows up with Rue too. I don't think I talked about it. But yeah, with Rue, basically they're asexual, so but they're still romantic. So it's still sweet and loving, but nothing steamy happens. But I think I read somewhere, I think it was one of the mods said that Livia is demisexual, which means she doesn't feel sexual attraction for someone right away. But as they get closer, then yes, she starts to feel that attraction towards them. So they don't immediately fall into bed together like Raiden or Eric or anything like that. But anyway, I'm absolutely going to pick this one. I'm going to kiss you now. If that's okay, if you want. She clears her throat and nods quickly. Noted. You may proceed. Oh my gosh. Olivia. I laugh against her mouth, our lips brushing and meeting in a gentle kiss that quickly turns wanting. A slick tangle, something deeper than all the times before, feeling more significant. The way she gasps, the quiet noises of almost relief, her body seemed tight against my own as we slowly find ourselves falling back against the feathered pillows. If this is too much, she growls, teeth clenched, a hand finding its way to cradle the back of my skull as she looks at me with black eyes rimmed blue. It isn't. It's not enough. Nice. I told you I feel safe with you. I want you, Nasreen. I want you too. Ah. The cord got caught around my foot again. Then take me. I guide her down, pressing her against the mattress. When I kiss her, every part of me lights up, my blood rushing fast and hot. The quiet little noises she makes against my mouth, the way her fingers dig into my shoulders. She's perfect, and she's mine. And that's it for Nomad. Technically chapter 7. This is... I think somewhere they lost track of which part they were on. Back to the main menu. So, that's it for the Nomad chapter 7. So, I will... next stream will probably be Sunday. Saturday, I have other things planned. If that changes, of course, I will stream on Saturday. Somewhere in between today and the next stream, I will try to record the night chapter 7 again, with hopefully better audio from me. And then, next 3 streams will be the finale for each route. So we'll get to find out what happens. I mean, I already know what happens because of course I played it, but it's very hard not to say anything. So let's look at the gallery. So we got to see Livia's binary picture. So here it is. Isn't she beautiful? I love the smile. And we also saw Ruse. That grin. The dimples. I love the dimples. I'm a sucker for dimples. And we also saw Eric and Maja's binary picture. They're so beautiful together. I love it. We also saw this one. I'm not sure I trust where her elbow is. It seems a rather unfortunate location for it. I could be wrong about where exactly it's placed, but yeah. Anywho, right, I was also thinking of reading some of the codex entries. I may do that separately. I don't know. But yeah, I need to stop talking. I can feel my throat getting sore. So, thank you for joining me. This should be up on YouTube. If you're watching this there, please like, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Thank you to Akigor for joining me. I'm assuming since you didn't comment about my voice, that it was fine, that it was plenty loud enough. So I will see you next time, and take care. Bye.